Do it. More videos. Do it.
Well, you heard the man. I gotta make another video. It was Marty's suggestion that I start this YouTube channel back in the summer, and I started doing it, and I wound up liking it. So, when all else fails, do what Marty tells you to. So this is Brain Smasher. Thanks again for joining me. Thanks for sending in the questions that I will be doing in my Q&A in a little bit. I hope you like the different angle. I just kind of felt like changing it up. I think this is going to help with my upload speed a little bit, and I just kind of like to change it up, have a little different look to things every now and then. Let's see. So this is just going to be, I don't know, talking about metal like we usually do. We're going to be listening to an album that I just got in. Come on. I don't really know how to pronounce this, but the band, I guess, Gris. It's a French-Canadian band. I've been listening to a lot of French-Canadian bands, I suppose. But this is their album, Frenchy Croissant, for French, Carlos Renaissance, or whatever. You know, the one with the guy on it. Boy, that's not going to look very good. I don't know. Anyway, this is a beautiful, beautiful album with tons of amazing instrumentation. I haven't honestly listened to this album very many times before buying it, so this is kind of a trial run, giving it a listen. But so far, God, it's so good. Just the movements for instrumentation from like acoustic violins and cellos and stuff going into like the broad black metal kind of depressive kind of style is really fascinating to me. So I just got that in from Sepulchral Productions. I also got in this banger of an album. This is the latest from Odal, Geistes Unruhe, or something like that. This is on Christ Hunt Productions. I don't know. I gotta work on the light here a little bit better. I don't know. Anyway, I really like this band. I always consider them kind of one of the more traditional, kind of raw production type of German black metal bands. But this album is a real step forward for them that I didn't really expect. And I like it, but I am going to kind of miss the old Odal. The production is real awesome. It's just like perfect black metal production. It's real clean, polished, and solid. And it gives this new direction in music a nice voice. You know, it's a lot more melodic. It's a lot more pummeling and heavy at times. So it sounds a little bit more mainstream, I guess, for a band like Odal. But it's really, really, really good. It wound up taking, I think, the number like 16 spot or so in my top 20 year-end list, which, by the way, I think will be coming out on No Clean Singing in a while. If you can't wait, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm doing like a countdown every day of the best albums of the year. I think today we're at number 9. So I also got in Necroharmonic Productions is a label that does mainly reissues of 90s death metal stuff. And so every now and then I check in on them just to see if there's something that I may have missed, because like they did that Gorment reissue that came out a couple of years ago, and I fucking love that thing. So they're having a sale right now on their already super cheap CDs. So I picked up this Interment CD for $3. This is a brand new CD. It's $3. And it's a reissue of, I think, like a 7-inch. It's got some bonus rehearsal stuff. I think it's got like a lost interview in there and stuff. So pick that up. And this was like $4 or something. This is Crematory, the band from Sweden, not the German Gothic band, but the CD is called Denial. So this is also like, let's see, a mini LP. It's got a demo from 1990, demo 91, demo 92, and you know, just old school Swedish death metal, killer stuff. And you can't beat that fucking price. For both CDs new, I paid $7 plus like $3 shipping. And I think Roy is still having that sale. So check out Necroharmonic Productions for that. So after those, I just want to talk a little bit about a couple of albums I've been listening to the last couple of days that are of note. The first one is there's a new album from Moralia, which is a band by Shatraug from Horna. And I guess I'm not too familiar with the band's older stuff. In fact, I think it's his solo project. I guess I thought Moralia was a French band, but now that I've listened to the new album and like really given it some attention, I don't have a copy of it. Obviously, I'll be showing it to you. It's definitely a depressive, suicidal black metal record, but I feel like the style that it is really, it precedes that term. It's become quite a widely used term, and sometimes a lot of the stuff that falls under that category doesn't interest me whatsoever. So the style, you know, and you can kind of trust Shatraug. He's in fucking Sargeist, Horna, lots of other killer projects that are all like legit black metal awesome albums. And so this new Moralia, I listened to it on headphones the other night at work, and it just fucking melted my brain into a pile of sadness and tears. It's real awesome, just murky production. It's just got a beautiful guitar tone that I can't get enough of, and in that way that like the guitar harmonics just are barely audible, or the leads are barely audible. So when he's harmonizing over the main riff that's like really repetitive and droning in your head, you almost don't notice the abrupt change from having no guitar lead to going into that guitar lead. And I really love those kind of subtle nuances that tend to happen when a guitar distortion is just done so perfectly well. And those kinds of things that take place within that genre of music really help and elevate the mood and just bring me that much closer to the music. Anyway, I saw that it was put out by Moribund Productions or whatever, a label that I'm not really a fan of. They put out some good stuff, but I just feel like I don't know. I've had a sour taste in my mouth about that label for many years. I had a friend when I was first getting into metal. I was into metal, I guess, for a couple of years, but back in like 97, 98 or so, I found this magazine called Seventh Scroll Zine, and it was out of Illinois, which is like right across the river from me in Iowa. So I started writing with this guy, old snail mail. We became pen pals, and I started writing back and forth with this guy, and I started to write articles for his magazine, Seventh Scroll, because at that time I had a zine of my own. God, I can't even think of what mine was called. Anyways, I had a zine, and I was kind of sick of doing my own zine, and I decided, why don't I just start writing for Seventh Scroll? And I got to know the guy, and he was actually friends with a Kenneton from Judas Iscariot. One day I just decided, you know what, fuck it. He lived in Champaign, Illinois, I want to say. I just decided one Friday night, I was like, I'm going to drive to Champaign, Illinois and knock on Ron's door and meet the guy. We're going to hang out, maybe spend the weekend, have some beers or whatever. And I didn't call him ahead of time. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. But anyways, I get to Champaign, Illinois. I find a gas station. I get on the payphone. I call him. He's like, oh, hey, dude, I wish you would have called me ahead of time because I'm hanging out with Andrew from Judas Iscariot. We're at this show, and you should have come to this show. And I was like, yeah, I probably should have called ahead because if it's a show that the guy from Judas Iscariot was going to, I probably would have liked it. I don't know what it would have been. Anyway, so this guy, Ron, and I, we got to be friends. I never did get any of the stuff that I wrote published in his magazine because he killed himself. Or there was some circumstances to his death. I don't really know what happened. The information on this guy is scant because this all went down before most people had internet in their homes. So I never really found out what the real story was. And I've even, after that, I heard a thing from this guy. I heard something different. I heard that he jumped off of a bridge, squashed into traffic, and just died that way. I suppose maybe I could go back and look it up now and see if there's any news reports that are archived. Some people said he was pushed. I don't know. I never really knew for sure what had happened. So I had gone around kind of asking people what had happened. And so when I was at a Metal Fest 98 or 99 or something, I found the Moribund was there, and they had a table, and I knew that he was affiliated with Ron because Ron put out this infamous compilation, which at the time I didn't know was a sketchy fucking thing. This is like the first foray of a lot of bands that have now become famous, like Birkenau, God Time to Cry, Graveland, Absurd, Full Moon, Weltmach, Bellas, all kinds of sketchy stuff. Anyways, Moribund helped put this out with my buddy Ron in affiliation with his magazine and label. So I said to Moribund guy, I was like, hey, you know Ron, right? What's the deal with him? And he's like, that fucking kike, he splattered himself all over the highway. Fuck that kid. And I was like, geez, I don't know what kind of beef you fucking guys had, but that's not cool. I wrote off Moribund ever since then. Anyways, that brings us all the way back to Moralia. I would love to have a copy of the album, support the artist, have a copy in my hand, read the lyrics, find out what it's about, really fully digest the album, but I don't want to support that asshole. Anyways, I forgot one other album that I got in recently. This album is fucking amazing. This is the new Cult de Ghoul. I'm kind of new to this band. I listened to that Haxan album, their last album from 2011, a couple of times, and I thought it was okay. So when I first started seeing hype about this record, I was like, I don't know. I'll give it a listen. And I'm really into this album. I'm totally in. So I don't really know, I guess, how to explain it, but it's like a play, a black metal play. There's characters in it that the vocalist plays. Here's a list of all the different voices that are having dialogue throughout the play. There's tons of interesting instrumentation going on here, but at the core of it, it's just like real solid kind of thrash influenced black metal. Excellent guitar tone and bass tone. I'm really impressed with the bass tone on this. But anyways, you can follow along with the play, which are the lyrics. There's scenes. It's a play about a devil and the handmaid and the daughters and stuff and all that kind of crap. I actually haven't read along to it yet. I've listened to it a few times, and I just, it's usually when I don't have a chance to be sitting there, reading along with the lyrics while I'm listening, and I've been driving when I listen to it. So I'm looking forward to finding out what this record is all about, but this is a first, I think, in black metal, a play or a musical, I guess, if you want to call it. I don't really know what to say it is, because it's just such a it's a new thing that hasn't been done yet. I don't know if I would say I would encourage other people to try this, but goddamn, this is an impressive way to experience black metal, and I'm really having a lot of fun listening to it. So I think this made my number 11 or so on my top 10 or 20 list. Anyway, so I wanted to talk. So 3 albums that I wanted to highlight. One was the Moralia. The second is an album that, so back in August, Marty, who you saw at the beginning of the video and is an awesome dude, and his link is below, Marty Worm, sent me a box of CDs. Some of them were stuff from his label that I didn't have copies of yet, and others were stuff that he wasn't really into, just CDs that he had bought or gotten in trades or something, stuff that he didn't really like but he thought that I might like. Now, ordinarily when someone does that, the odds of actually hitting the mark and having albums that I would like that they didn't are rare. So the odds that this would be all the stuff that he sent me would be good were low, slim to none. But he sent me a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, I know about that band. I'll check it out. We'll see what happens. So this next band is a band that I first heard about back in 2005 or 6 or so. Sweden's Witchcraft. I heard about them because they were coming to Des Moines. Now, this is like a 70s sort of, revival or retro sort of metal band. And I started listening to one of their albums and really wound up liking it. I should have looked up to see which one it was beforehand, but I never got around to picking up any of their albums. I did listen to one of them for quite a while. I found it really catchy. I thought that the production on the album was impressively authentic. A lot of the bands like that, what they tend to do is they kind of use the framework of a retro style to build around, but they tend to kind of lose a lot of the nuances. They'll have like a nice, slick, clean production, which to me kind of comes off as inauthentic. They'll do like retro music, but nasty vocals, which wasn't done back in the day because it seems like it's because they're too scared to actually do clean vocals. Anyway, Witchcraft had amazing vocals, super catchy songs, and this album in particular, I guess I'll just have to stop the video and play you a clip of the album that I'm talking about because I can't think of it right now. The album in particular just really sold it on me, and their style was super memorable and catchy, and I always meant to get that album and follow up with it. I never did. So Marty sends me one of their newer albums. This is Legend. I got it, and I was like, yeah, okay, we'll see. I'll put it on. I remember hearing that people, I guess, weren't that big of a fan of this one or something. I don't know. It came out on Nuclear Blast. Apparently, Marty wasn't a fan of it. And it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. And then yesterday I was driving to work and I decided to put it on. And you know what? This album is killer. Amazing riffs. The singer is still so fucking good. One of the best singers in metal. Now, I don't know what people's opinion of this band really is, because I wrote to Marty yesterday after listening to this, and he said, I don't really get into that kind of stoner stuff. And then another friend of mine, I was like, dude, you should check out Witchcraft if you haven't heard them before. He also said, I don't really listen to that kind of stoner stuff. And I was like scratching my head. I was like, do people think that Witchcraft is a stoner band? Because they're not. They really don't have anything, I think, in common with that kind of stuff. It's really a traditional heavy metal band with great vocals, killer melodic riffs, really intricate drumming that just really great instrumentation to it. I highly recommend checking this out, and also the other album that I'm going to talk about, or put a thing in there. But yeah, this band, if you think this is a stoner band, you're missing out. This band is a killer, traditional, heavy metal band. Awesome stuff. This singer is so impressive. I haven't been impressed with a metal singer in a really, really, really long time. This guy is the shit. This album was so good. It just bowled me over yesterday, and I never expected it, And it reminded me how much I loved the band 10 years ago when I first heard them. And I wish that I would have gone to see them live in Des Moines. They would have played for 10 people, and it would have been a great time, I'm sure. So I'm sure I'll never get a chance to see Witchcraft from Sweden live again. But I'm going to check out some of their other albums. That was really good. So, Marty, that was a great gift. Thank you so much again. That box of CDs that you sent me keeps on giving. So, the next album and the last album I'm going to talk about is an album I hope many of you are already familiar with. However, the context of which to listen to this album has proved to be very important to me. The first time I heard about this album, I read on a Full Moon Productions website or forum. A lot of people were talking about this band, and I was like, okay, that's usually when I check something out. I'll go to YouTube and stream a band and see what's up with it, or I'll just straight up download the album with the intent of maybe buying it if I'd like it, something like that. So I was going to Ireland in 2007, and I wanted to burn a bunch of MP3s onto CD. So I had some new things to listen to if we were on a bus trip or something. So I downloaded some of this band and put it on an MP3 CD. And one day we were in, I guess I want to say it was Dublin, and we just went into town and went fucking all over town, walked miles and miles and miles. My feet were just dead fucking tired, and I hadn't slept in a really long time for some reason. We were hop skipping from B&B to B&B to bed, just I was having a hard time adjusting to the jet lag. So this one night, we managed to get a B&B where we slept separately. I had my own room, and this tiny room that I was in, I didn't really like the bed, but I found a windowsill that looked out over into the city, and it had glass all the way up so that I could look out underneath into the stars. It was a clear sky. It was a beautiful night, and I was just dead fucking tired. So I lay down on this windowsill looking out into the stars, and I put on my headphones, and I decided to listen to Pesage D's self-titled album. And I just got so utterly lost in this album. I swear I felt my body leaving this plane of existence. I don't believe in that fucking shit, but I definitely believe in the feeling that you can get from black metal is something that can only be, it's the most magical thing without being a stupid hippie about it. This is a magical black metal experience. And if you find yourself listening to this album, make sure it's under the correct conditions, because magical things can happen. By the way, I also got a back patch of the album cover there. So anyways, yesterday I went into work. By the way, I drive a forklift for a living. I was sent to work in this other warehouse that's a couple of miles away, out in the middle of the snowy farm fields. By the way, here in Iowa yesterday, actually over the weekend, I think it got down to 10 below, and there's about a foot of snow on the ground or so. It's just been like real stay inside, windy, you gotta scrape your car windows kind of weather. We went from hoodie weather a couple of weeks ago to fuck this tundra mess. I actually kind of love it, for reasons like I'm about to tell you. So I went out to this warehouse, and this warehouse was so desolate out in the middle of nowhere. I walk in, and it's just me and another guy. This humongous warehouse, and I'll show you some pictures in this video of this empty ass warehouse. There's no heat in this warehouse. It's just me and another guy in the middle of millions of boxes of shampoo and mouthwash and conditioner and stuff. So I was just feeling so isolated in the middle of these farm fields and buried underneath snow in this cold ass warehouse. I was bundled up doing my work. I was working real hard. So it's just me and another guy. Just me and a million bottles of mouthwash and shampoo for miles and miles and miles. Seriously, not a boss for miles. No one to even tell me to get off my phone or work harder or anything. It's kind of nice to be so isolated. So I decided the conditions were right. Also, the grimness of yesterday's election, our electors in the United States decided on this fucking idiot being our next president. I just had to put on something to make me leave this plane of existence. And this is exactly the album for such an occasion. I put on my headphones and I listened to this album again. I was, driving on my forklift, doing my work, but that's the kind of thing that, like, your mind can be in another place while you're doing your work, which is repetitive, manual kind of labor. You don't really need a lot of your mindful presence to be engaged in the work that you're doing. So I just got completely sucked into this album. Once again, it fucking blew my goddamn mind. It's like having your fucking brain frozen and encapsulated in ice, but still kind of working a little bit. There's so many elements to this album that, I didn't notice until yesterday that this album has clean vocals. Every time I listen to this album, I swear, once you listen so closely, it takes you quite a while to get acclimated to the guitar distortion because it's so noisy and nasty, and it just barely conveys the notes that are being played on the guitar to the listener. So it takes a while to like really understand the riffing that's going on. So thankfully, the songs are, you know, like 20 minutes long a piece or so. So you notice something different every time I listen to this album. So I can't recommend this album enough. Find yourself some sort of wintry escape and put on this album and get your fucking mind blown. Pesage D's self-titled album. I do like quite a bit of their other albums, but this is the one for me. I'm going to show my back patch here. So that experience alone is why I chose to make that album the main centerpiece of my jacket. Oh, of course, it's going to be backwards. God damn it. I love that. That's like one of my top 5 black metal records. It just really does everything for me that I want a black metal record to do. So that's it. I just wanted to kind of focus on 3 albums and just kind of talk a little bit more in length about these specific albums as a change of pace. I think in the next year, what I want to start doing is doing like one video talks about one album. Reviews, in a way. More like Anthony Smash Tano. So let me know what you thought. Hope you're having a good whatever you are doing. Thanks for subscribing. Keep on sending me questions. We're gonna have a fun time in my Q&A video. I'm thinking about drinking a shitload of beer while I do it, so might be drunk. Who knows? Anyways, whatever.